Hi everyone. So in this video I'm going to tell what fascinating and alarming things we found out when we were able to look muscle activity throughout the whole day and how active muscles actually are during the normal daily life and why some parts of the muscle might not get any activation at all during the day. I will also cover what kind of health effects this might have and how you can prevent these things in your daily life. So my name is Olli Tikkanen. I have done my PhD about muscle activity during daily life, and we will be looking the findings from my PhD study. I'm also running a podcast called Physical Activity Researcher, and I am the founder and CEO of Fibion Inc., which is manufacturing a small device which can really accurately measure sitting, everyday activity and exercise. So now we will look at some of my PhD findings, which was titled nicely as Physiological Loading during normal daily life and exercise assessed with electromyography. So fancy word, electromyography, but basically we are measuring the muscle activity, the electricity of the muscles during normal daily life, and this will reveal us how much the muscles are active during normal daily life. So this is basically same as EEG for the brain, but we do the same on the muscles. So let's take a little bit of history before we dive in. So field of exercise physiology have been studying exercise for several decades, and it has been known that you need to exercise to maintain or improve your fitness, and the knowledge was mainly about cardio training, and measurement of heart rate was quite easy, so people were really thinking that physical activity is cardio training. It is the heart pumping, and nobody was really paying any attention to muscles. So in the study we gave participants probably the most expensive swords you can buy in the world. They cost something like more than $1,000, and those can actually, they have electrodes inside and they can measure the quadriceps muscle activation and hamstring muscle activation throughout the whole day. So if I show a little bit what is the EMG, so basically here you have 0 level, and then when the person was doing a maximum activation, for example in a leg press, we see that the EMG starts to rise and goes like this, and then the person stops. So this was the 100% maximum effort. So we can define here as the maximum level. And then, for example, when person is walking, we can see some spikes of activity. If the person is squatting and staying in that position, we will see some level of activity. And when the person is laying down, we are pretty much at the 0 level. And then if we want to measure, for example, this one, we can take this level and how many percentage it is from the maximum. So I will be showing those soon in my video. And basically then we put the persons first to a treadmill in the lab, and they started walking 3 kilometers per hour, 4 kilometers per hour, 5 kilometers per hour, and basically the muscle activity was in 3 kilometers like this, 4 kilometers a little bit higher, 5 kilometers a little bit higher, then running. So we could really accurately measure the level of muscle activity. Even like small changes in the walking speed we were able to detect with the EMG swords. So then if we look what we found out in our study, so basically the swords can measure really short bursts of activity. So you might have just tiny activities here and there, which you could, if you would measure the muscle activity of a finger, you would get like from the smallest movement. So this kind of short bursts people had on average 12,000 bursts per day, and they were really short. They were on average 1.4 seconds. And if we multiply 1.4 by 12,000, we get 280 minutes of activity, which is roughly about 4.5 hours. So not too bad. It's 4.5 hours of total muscle activity, but we need to remember that this method is very accurate and it's detecting even the smallest of activities. And when we took the average of the whole day, people were using 4% of their muscles from the maximum. So not that active. And when we looked at the window, so from 0 to 5% muscle activity, people were spending 81% of their day at this level. So really low level of muscle activity, less than 5% from the maximum. And then if we look at the higher intensities, so if we look the activities that were over 50% of the maximum, people were on average 5 minutes. So near 5 minutes per whole day, people were activating their thigh muscles more than 50% of the maximum. And there was big difference between individuals in this. So some people might have had just 1 minute, while some could have 10 minutes. And then if we look at over 80% from the maximum, so 100% was the maximum squat, which is quite a lot of activity. So 20% from that less, and people were 79 seconds. So little bit over 1 minute. And also in this is an average, and for some people this was 0. So they were not activating their muscles over 80% of the threshold even for 1 second per day. This might be really important, and I will explain why. So basically we have here a leg like that. Let's see if I can draw it. That's a nice drawing. So then you have your muscles here, thigh muscles, and each muscle has like 3 muscle types. So you have type 1A, which is a slow muscle fiber, and then you have type 2A, which is a fast muscle fiber, and then you have type 2B muscle fibers. 2B has the biggest motor units, and I will show what the motor unit means. Let's take a different color. So basically you would have different muscle cells. These would be all 2B muscle cells, and this would be one motor unit. So all of the nerves go from these particular muscle fibers go to 1. All of them will be active or none of them will be active. So this is the type 2B have the biggest motor units. So either these all get activated or they don't get activated at all. And if you don't go over 80% of the activity, the biggest motor unit, there might be no activity at all. And think about if you don't activate them at all during the day, do you activate them at all during, for example, 10 years of time? How is your daily life? Do you activate them at all? So basically, muscles are following a size principle. When you start activating your muscle a little bit harder, you first start to activate the type 1A muscle fibers. And when you have activated pretty much all of them and you still need more force, you start to take the type 2A. And still the force is increasing, you have recruited all of the 2A fibers, you then need the 2B. You take first the smallest motor units of 2B and then bigger, bigger and bigger. So the big motor units are activated the very last. So basically the motor unit means that you would have muscle cells, which are all in this case 2B, and they all have a common nerve like this. You either activate all of them or you activate none of them. So if you don't have muscle activity over 80% or 70% or 90%, there are some motor units that you didn't activate at all. So think about if you don't activate them at all during one day and your days are quite the same, what happens to this muscle and nerve if you don't activate them in 10 years? And the studies show that when people get older, they start to lose the biggest motor units. And earlier this was thought that it is because we get older, but our studies show that some people maybe don't activate them at all, so it could be also because people are not using them. This is just speculation, but it could be due to this reason. So my advice for you is that do something hard on a daily basis, even if it lasts just few seconds, because you want to be activating also the biggest motor units, so you actually have them also after 10 and 20 years. So actually then we went to test some older people to see how does the muscle activity are in older people. And we had, for example, a stair climbing test. So basically you had the 0 muscle activity level here, and then you had the 100% from the squat. And you had one individual who did this, and they were walking 5 flights of stairs up, and their muscle activity looked like this. But then when we had some other individual, their muscle activity could actually look like this. So basically this person was able to climb the stairs using just about 35% of their muscle activity from the maximum. But this other individual, it was 80%, and at some points it went up to 100. And actually the person whose activity was like this couldn't go 5 flights of stairs without stopping. So their muscle strength was the limiting factor. So when you get older, it's not always about your cardiovascular endurance, whether you can, for example, just walk the stairs, but it might be about your muscle strength. So I would really advise you to activate your muscles, do some hard activations every day, so you actually are this individual and not this who needs to use pretty much their full capacity on a daily life, and they get tired really easily. And also this actually predicts how long you can live independently. So take care of your muscles, keep the muscle strength up, activate the whole muscle during every day. So thanks for watching. If you like the content and you find it valuable, click the subscribe button and also the bell icon next to it, so you will be notified of the new videos which I'm going to be making every week.